Alright, this video is for MAT 1033 Intermediate Algebra for the test 2 review. This is number 3. It says simplify the radical, assume that all variables represent positive real numbers. So I have the cubed root. This time I know it's a cubed root because I have my cubed inside my radical as my index, so I'm looking for 3 of a kind. Negative 64, x to the 12th, y to the 6th. So I can do in my calculator the cubed root of negative 64, and it will give me negative 4. So just to practice, if it were to give me a decimal, I would have to break it down. So just to get practice, or if you don't feel comfortable using a calculator, let's break it down just so that way we can see the difference. So I can break down negative 64 into negative 1 times 64. 64, let's do 2 times 32. If you were to pick something else, say 8 times 8, anything else, you're going to end up with the same answer in the end, so it's okay. I can't break down 2 anymore because the only factors of 2 are just 2 times 1. I don't really care about 1. So 2 is done. Let's break down 32. Let's say 2 and 16. Again, 2 is done, so it gets circled. 16, let's say, is 2 and 8. 2 again is done, so it gets circled. 8 is 2 and 4. 4 is 2 and 2. And we have finally come to the end where we can't break down anything else. So we just broke down 64. So I know underneath my cubed root, I really have that negative 1 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2's. Underneath my radical. If I were to multiply that all out, I would still get negative 64. So that cubed root, that little 3 in the index, is telling me I'm taking out groups of 3. So I have 3 2's here. I also have 3 2's here that are coming out of the radical. And they'll be multiplied outside together because they're multiplied inside together. Then I have that negative 1. So because it is an odd root, I could say negative 1 is just negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1, because that will give me negative 1. These two negative times a negative will give me a positive times a negative will end up giving me negative 1. So there I also have 3 negative 1's coming outside the radical. So outside the radical I have negative 1 times 2 times 2, so that'll give me negative 4 total. And notice nothing's left underneath the radical. Everything was in a group of 3 that came outside. If something was left underneath, not in a group, then you would still have your cubed root radical there and whatever's left underneath it left over. So we finished with the negative 64. Going back up here, I have the cubed root of x to the 12th. So I have 12 x's underneath the radical, and I'm taking out groups of 3. So whenever I take out groups, that's the same thing as division. So technically I have x to the 12th divided by 3. My exponent is 12 divided by my root of 3. That will give me x to the 4th power. So just writing it down here, I know I had negative 4 coming out, and I now have 4 x's coming out, so x to the 4th power. Last but not least are y's. So again, I have 6 y's. I'm taking out groups of 3. So that'll tell me 2 groups are coming out evenly with nothing left over. And I've dealt with everything. So negative 4 x to the 4th y squared will be my final answer. That is number 3 for MAT 1033 Intermediate Algebra, the test 2 review.